Hello, welcome to the Royal Road School of Carmelite Prayer, where we are currently studying an article by a prominent Teresian scholar, Father Tomas Alvarez, now deceased. He's from Spain. And the article is entitled St. Teresa's Concept of Prayer. In our last video, we took a look at Teresa's second and final conversion after she was in the monastery for 18 years. And today we're going to listen to Father talk to us about the history of Teresa's mystical prayer life. And he starts out by telling us that it was on the foundation of that humble tactic of representing the person of Christ to herself that the third form of prayer, of Teresian prayer, developed, her mystical prayer life. So going from representing the person that she was speaking to his actual presence before her was a short step. Mystical prayer always remained something of a novelty for Teresa, though for the last 20 years of her life, she constantly experienced Christ's presence. She continued the prayer she had developed over the last 20 years, the representing Christ to herself, which coexisted with her mystical prayer life. This is Teresa. I sometimes experienced, though very briefly, the feeling of his presence, or even while reading, it sometimes happened that a feeling of the presence of God would come upon me unexpectedly, so that I could in no way doubt that he was within me or that I was totally immersed in him. In other words, one's entry into this new form of prayer is a presence of God, such that anyone who commends himself to His Majesty will find him. The remaining history of Teresa's prayer, the degrees and the variations of her mystical contemplation, correspond quite simply to an intensification of this presence. Teresa continued to use her skills, but no longer needed to bring them, to use them to bring Christ near. In fact, Christ was almost forcing his presence on her. As time went on, Teresa discovered this presence more and more. It is possible to define that process in its 3 peak moments by pointing out 3 key discoveries. The first, becoming aware of the presence of God everywhere within and without. Number 2, discovery of the presence of God beside or within her. And finally, number 3, experiencing the presence of the Trinity within her soul. So let's take a look at her testimony of each of these 3 discoveries. Amen. So basically, we are going to go back in the next video and we're going to look at each one of Teresa's 3 key discoveries: the presence of God everywhere, the presence of Christ beside or within her, and then the presence of the Trinity within her soul. And what Father was saying is that these different types of mystical prayer that she was experiencing are very simply put an intensification of the process of the presence of Christ, either more or less. So, anyway, I hope this is beneficial to you. And I always forget to mention that there is a link below that will take you to the article itself. So, thank you for following along, and may God bless you and yours. Amen.